How many people know about Tupac's 1993 visit to Cairo? I didn't know that. I realized there's so many Tupac fans at Stanford. Well, let me tell you, it never happened. In fact, I don't even think he ever made it to the Middle East. Yet, his image as a social icon is enduring in the region, especially among Arab youth. There was even a recent article or poll that came out that had him tied with Bob Marley as the most popular Western music artist in the region. And from Mauritania to Amman, you can find graffiti such as this. The two on the right are in Jordan. The top one says, "Rest in peace, Tupac, Eazy-E, and Biggie." The one on the bottom says, gives a shout out to a local MC. And I found this out personally, my first night in Amman, back in 2011. My first night in the Middle East, actually, period. The night I arrived at my hotel, there was a Tupac documentary showing in the lobby. I found this out personally my first night in Amman. And my first night, like I said, in the Middle East, period. There was this Tupac documentary showing in the lobby. And mind you, this was a nice hotel, and not that nice hotels can't show hip-hop documentaries. It's just not what you would expect. Even more surprising, as I explored the city more, I was amazed at how many people just wanted to talk to me about hip-hop after seeing or discovering I was a Black American. It was, it was quite perplexing, to be honest. So back in the States, I'm actually not a rapper, surprise. But I am a slam poet, and I do slam poetry, and also spoken word. I was actually slamming this past summer in San Francisco. And so naturally, being in Jordan, I connected and bonded with a lot of the people in the art community there. A lot of my friends are local MCs and local rap artists. And so I was able to help them DJ, help them perform at shows, and among a variety of other things. But one thing that really stood out to me about them and their performances was the sometimes very political, explicitly political nature and tone of their music. I even had one friend whose performance was stopped because his lyrics became very critical of the government. And I personally couldn't help but draw the parallels between what I was seeing and also hip-hop's earlier roots in the States, where it was more of a tool of social grievance and political tool when it came to people of color in urban areas. And I included one short example. Looking at Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five's message to Tunisia's El General, head of state, you can see both kind of touch on economic themes. One's talking about inflation and unemployment, another one's talking about corruption. And in both songs, they make the connection between depressed economic conditions to the state. And of course, this was during the time of the uprisings, and these themes were made even more apparent across the region. And also, from the Arab uprisings, we saw another prominent wave of hip-hop, from Omar, Syrian-American, to Khalid from Libya, to the Arab Knights, and I also have to get a shout-out to the female MCs from Lebanon and Palestine who were part of that movement. So coming back to the States, my Jordan experience was unforgettable. It really stuck to me. And so I continued to do slam. I also continue my work as a Scoville Fellow, where I'm an analyst on the Middle East in DC. But I also happen to teach part-time in different urban areas, in different after-school programs. And one of the times I was teaching happened to be during when a certain film trailer came out. It was called The Innocence of Muslims. And I'm sure we all here are probably familiar with the subsequent reactions to riots across the region. So I decided to ask my students just to get a sense of where their minds were at on the event, or even more broadly, the Middle East. And I started by asking where Jordan was. Let me tell you, after about 10 minutes of guessing Asia, Africa, someone even said Russia. I just relented and said, it's in the Middle East, guys, let's just start there. And then one student raised his hand and said, oh, you mean the countries with the bad tempers? And that comment really stuck with me, and it even shook me a little bit. And I had some very colorful conversations with friends afterwards. But more importantly, that comment made me ask, what if? What if you could take some of the world's urban youth who share a lot of the same challenges and you put them in a room together? What type of conversations would they have? And more importantly, what type of mediums could you use to facilitate that exchange? And it's my humble opinion that that experience would be both enlightening and empowering to both groups. I mean, how many times does a kid from Oakland get to interact with a kid from Cairo when they both share challenges, similar challenges in their own context? And this is exactly what the Youth Speaks project is about. Youth Speaks is a cross-cultural initiative using hip-hop and slam poetry to connect and empower American urban youth and Arab urban youth. We have 3 goals. empowerment, dialogue, and awareness. We want to empower urban youth. We want to help them develop a more positive self-image. We want to have discussions on critical topics, and we also want to help them to hone their artistic craft. Dialogue. We want to foster an international, a global dialogue among urban youth, creating spaces where they can share their experience and where they can also build collaboration and where they can also, we develop more globally aware urban youth leaders. And lastly is just awareness. We want to increase the social awareness of the challenges that urban youth face through multimedia products and amplifying their experiences to a global audience. So how do we plan to achieve these goals? We plan to achieve these goals in 3 parts. First is weekly mentorships. They pair one Arab youth with one American youth. They correspond on a weekly basis on a given topic, and from that they do written reflections. There's also monthly workshops. These alternate between Washington, D.C., Baltimore area, and also Amman, Jordan. They're led by a slam poet or led by a professional hip-hop artist, and they focus on skill development, and they also focus on critical discussion topics such as poverty or human rights or education. And these workshops and these monthly workshops and these weekly sessions culminate into an annual cultural exchange. You can think about this as kind of an intensive retreat where the participants actually choose what they want to learn and engage on. And from that experience, we want to produce a short documentary, and we also want to produce an extended mixtape that mixes slam poetry and rap. And we're definitely looking forward to building our team larger and piloting this project within the next year or so. So as a slam poet, my entire life is a witness to the power of words and performance in validating and empowering one's voice and one's identity. I mean, even the Arab uprisings 2 years later have taught us that the cries for freedom and dignity and justice go well beyond our borders. When I see the Arab uprisings or even reflect on them, I hear unheard voices, I see unwritten narratives, and I think that even with the challenges that are increasing with urban youth, we still have a lot to share, teach, and learn from each other. And I'm just going to leave you with a quote that I often tell many of my friends. If youth are the future, and we know they are, then surely urban youth reflect an even deeper destiny. Thank you.